This is the One Table Podcast, created by the Unity Builders Ministry that exists to cultivate a culture of oneness that reflects the character of God.
That's what we're here for, having a good time.
Welcome back to the One Table Podcast, where we gather for honest conversations about unity, justice, and reconciliation in the multi-ethnic church. I'm Jen Cook, joined as always by my co-host, Gary Chalk.
Yes, that's him.
And Twan Moore.
What's happening, everybody? What's his name?
I don't know. What I was trying to combine your first and last name in my brain somehow. So
That's okay. I mean, we'll get it together.
I'm not going to call you Jerry. Okay.
For this conversation, maybe.
So over the last several episodes, we've talked about a lot of things. We talked about theology, wounds, feelings, lament. We've named pain. We've sat with grief. But now we need to get to like the action part where what do we do next? So today's episode is Empowered to Repair, Practical Tools for the Church. So repair is not an emotion. It's not a sermon series. It's practiced and it's costly. So 2 Corinthians 5 tells us that God has entrusted us with the ministry of reconciliation. And that means reconciliation is not just something we believe, it's something that we do. Glad to be back, guys.
It is good to be back.
It's good to be back. Seems like it's been a while.
It does.
And here we are with another easy, light topic.
Are we going to have
yeah, for real.
topics?
Like, I mean,
Where's
we're not talking about flavors of ice cream at Baskin Robbins. I mean,
Yeah.
No, we are not. But hey, we're gonna make this as calm and entertaining as possible and educational. Ultimately, it is Christ-centered. So
there you go.
there we go. I try to bring it back there.
Yeah. Well, our first segment is from awareness to obedience. So, I mean, I think we all can recognize that awareness is not the same as obedience. Repentance has to reorder power, priorities, but many churches stop here at awareness, not because they don't care, but because real repair disrupts comfort. And I think sometimes they don't know what to do. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's a murky step for sure. When you go from awareness, like it's easy to say, I see you and I feel this, but it's like, what do we do now?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I don't know that it's easy to say I see you because, you know, we're still working on seeing each other, like really seeing each other.
Yeah.
But I do think that it is easier to see than to figure out what to do next, how to obey God and go, okay, I've got this ministry of reconciliation that Jesus has brought, bringing down all the walls, but I still see a lot of walls up. And how do I approach it? I mean, there's a lot of questions, and there's fear about doing it wrong. And, you know, if I step in and say something, how are they going to see me? I'm either the complainer. I mean, there's just a gambit of things that people are dealing with when it comes to how do I help to go from, yeah, right, we don't need to be separate, but actually doing something. So That's a big deal, no doubt.
Do you think that when I was listening to you, do you think that even in this ministry of reconciliation, we have our own walls? Because we're like, this is what God says, and so we will reject anything else that anybody has to say, or you know. So I think it goes both ways almost. But in the side, we're on the side of what is just, what is merciful, what is taught for us biblically. But I think in that pursuit, we can kind of hunker down and be like, look, I'm planting my flag right here, and if you don't get in. I'm just thinking, could
Yeah.
that be a?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can. I think we can all get stuck in a rut, no matter where it is, even if it's a good rut, if it's the right rut, you know? I mean, we get stuck somewhere and then we don't see other people's perspectives.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you're talking church, we're talking about convictions,
Mhm.
belief, faith, things that go deep in our core, right? And
Mhm.
so, and you're taught whatever you're taught, whether it was spoken to you or you witnessed it or however you learned it, that becomes this centerpiece of how you function. And so when that gets shaken up, now we're talking about like stuff in your inner core. You've got to like reorient not just how you see the world, but even yourself.
Mhm.
You know, what's going on the inside and going, man, I really thought this was how things were. And that's an uncomfortable thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's one of those things that is pretty bewildering. And you start questioning, how did I get here?
Mhm.
You know, is my whole life a lie? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's really stuff that gets all shaken up. And so that's what makes it so difficult, you know?
And I'm looking at like, because we are prepared. I don't care what you think when you're listening, but we are prepared. So in our list of topics, we have why churches stop at the we acknowledge. And I just know for me, I sat with it and I was like, you know, sometimes churches sit at we acknowledge because they don't know what's next.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like, even like if you look around your church and you see all of the same kind of person, you can acknowledge that and then think, oh, what do we do next? Why are we not multi-ethnic?
Mhm.
And then is it because we don't have, like, there could be a bazillion reasons why your church isn't multi-ethnic.
Mhm.
Then you look around that or the space that you're in or the neighborhood you're in, right? And then you see that and you're like, okay, so what do I do next about that? I can see it, but like, what do I do?
Right.
And I think it's apparent, like as churches grow and as they expand in different areas, like you could be in a predominantly one ethnicity location.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect it to become multi-ethnic if nobody's there.
Right.
True.
But in those areas and those communities where you are, and you start to see the different cultures, the different races coming into your church, it's how you react to them.
True. Yeah.
Like, because it's new for them, could be, and it's new for you as an existing member.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, now how do we move forward? Like once you notice it, like you can look up one day and be like, I didn't know. We don't look the same as we did a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just in being in one of those areas where it's growing communities, we have so many different people. It's easy to forget, and for church to be business as usual, and look up and then see, man, we have changed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we need to do some things different. Maybe we need to communicate different. Maybe we need to create different spaces. And that's not just Sunday. That's in our community groups. That's in our equip courses, what have you. That's in our whatever programs that we have. We need to be more welcoming and understanding of everyone that's in our church.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of leads to our second segment, actually, because repair is structural and relational. So it has to, if repair is actually real, it shows up in systems and relationships, kind of what you're saying, Gary, on how we respond to people coming into our church.
Oh yeah. And again, you guys are so on top of it with these topics, man. I love it. But like you said, when you're talking about, in one of ours, we're talking about, so leadership pipeline is a big thing you hear in churches all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It is ingrained into you almost immediately, because that's what you have to do is develop leaders, because people that work at the church staff, they can't handle the everyday, they can't be at everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that we're raising leaders. But where are we finding these leaders?
Yeah.
Like, is it just the same people that know somebody else? You know, are we really discerning and looking at someone who isn't familiar to us, or who is of a different race, who doesn't look like me? And I think I've seen where we've gotten comfortable with just pulling leaders from the same circle.
Yeah. Well, I think we find people to do stuff, leadership, or to join in a work or whatever from our relationships, period.
Mhm.
That's true.
You know, like I'm not throwing up a help wanted sign. We're not throwing up a help wanted sign like just putting it on a, man, I want to say newspaper. I don't even know where they put help wanted signs anymore. I'm so old.
Do they?
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the world?
Actually, the help wanted signs, you're like, I'm not calling that number.
Right,
I was gonna
right.
say, I don't think you want to call a number and you find it in a newspaper. Most of them
I'm
are
like,
free
do
now.
they make newspapers anymore? I don't even know. But my point is that when you are just kind of throwing that up and you've got some work, you're not just wanting a stranger. You have a specific thing in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start looking for people you know. The issue is we have not been great at expanding our circles beyond who's familiar to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be hard to pull people in from these different groups if we haven't intentionally decided to get to know them first, to go, and I would say to go to their spaces and get to know them, to be curious in their spaces and say, how do things work here? Let me know. I'm really curious, you know, we can understand.
So how do I guess this is a question. How do we get to know people outside of our normal social circles, our same racial background? Because it can be awkward. And I'll just share this little anecdote. And always at my church, it was some time ago that anytime a new black family or black person would come, they would search the worship center to find me so
Mhm.
that I could introduce them because they didn't feel like they could connect.
Mm. Mm.
And again, the intention wasn't to harm.
Right.
They were literally trying to do the right thing.
Make a connection. Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
you heard me because I'm like, why do I have to go be the mascot?
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I'm sure that there are other scenarios like that. And so when we're talking about building relationships, I guess it'd be kind of cool to give some like, what are some just authentic ways? Just like I always say, just relax, be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know, you don't have to be extra and make it awkward.
What I do and did, especially when my kids were little, I mean, for all the moms or dads out there, is I went to the different libraries in different neighborhoods, like because they have kids programs in every library, and you can just go. And then I would just like people that looked nice, like that we made like a connection or laughed about our kids. We would talk. Because if I had stayed at my library, I might not have seen a lot of people that were that different from me. I mean,
Mhm.
that's changing, but like at the beginning, it wasn't. And at parks, you know, just talk to other moms, be friendly, kind of like what you're saying,
Yeah.
just be yourself. But then you have to do the work of like inviting them into your life, you know, doing a play date or meeting up for
Mhm.
dinner or meeting their spouse or whatever. But
Yeah. That's definitely a good one. That's a good in the flow of your life kind of thing to do. You did go outside of your area, your circle, but it's within the flow of I'm taking my boys to
mm-hmm.
do this. We do this all the time. We're just going to do it in different places intentionally to see different people. That's really good. I think we also need to. We tend to recognize the obvious differences first.
Mhm.
Instead of going, what are some basic human needs that we all have, no matter what race you are, no matter where you come from? Community is one of those. And so I think if we learn to approach people with love and curiosity, I don't mean like a science project, but man, I really want to get to know you,
Mm-hmm.
which that's an internal change that has to occur.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes we're just kind of focused on our own day to day,
Right.
you know, and that's not even necessarily like a bad thing. It's kind of out of necessity. You have your house, you have your schedule, you got your stuff that you're doing, and you're kind of going about your life, getting through it, as opposed to thinking about what are the lives in my community or the people around me, and how can we come together? And so if I don't first start with going, man, we all need community. You said invite them to dinner. We all need to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
We all have places that we stay and those kind of things. Then one, that takes some of the weirdness out of it,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not so much trying to cross a cultural thing here. I'm meeting you human to human,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that will help us. But we've got to do some internal stuff first to go ahead and cross those lines, because the barriers, as we know, they are there, and it's easy to see those differences first.
Well, and one thing that's one of these bullet points that we could talk about that really struck me is listening as a spiritual discipline. I think a lot of times we think it's all on us to come up with ideas, but the Holy Spirit, like we forget the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit is big, that God is big, that he knows what everybody needs. And I think on a leadership level and on a quote unquote just church member level, like listening prayer, listening in spaces that you go into. God, who do you want me to see? Like, who needs to be seen? Who needs to see me? Like, what do I need right now? What, not just like helping other people, but also just, what do you want me to do in this space?
Right. And it's not just at Sundays on church. It's at church. It's also in your workspaces.
Yeah.
It's in those social settings where your kids are playing little league sports and you see other families.
Mm-hmm.
It's just where, because there's another point, because somebody was really good with these.
Reginald.
But the proximity over ideology. I think we get caught up in how close we are to someone. This is my sphere of relevance. This is where I am. And we don't even try to step out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Even in a pursuit, like I can say, yeah, I want this whole reconciliation thing and to be loving of everybody and welcoming of everybody. But it's only the people that's right here.
Right.
It's only the people that are right here in this radius that is mine.
Mm-hmm.
But we have opportunities all the time. And you take those things, those opportunities, those chances of meeting people, and then you bring that into your churches or your places of faith that you go to. And that's how we begin to work. And it's slow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a slow process. I don't want anybody to hear me and think I'm telling you to meet a person that don't look like you on Sunday and automatically like, all right, we're my best friend.
Let's go to lunch.
Let's go to lunch right now. I'm like, hey, man.
I've been waiting on you
Yeah.
all day.
But
Yeah.
kind of with that, like,
We'll make it weird in a minute, man. I'll meet a Mexican person and be like, you want to get some Mexican food today? Just assuming. Like, I've had it done to me, so. Not with Mexican food.
but y'all know, like in Matthew 9, it says you can't pour new wine into old wineskins.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of times, and I'll just speak for maybe primarily white spaces, I think we try to fit people into what we have going on instead of like making a new wineskin, to put new wine. Like you're trying to fit people into your box instead of
Yeah.
expanding.
It's hard to try.
It's hard.
And
sometimes you do it subconsciously. You don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's been one thing I've had an awakening of over the last, I'd say, year, is that I'll say these things, but am I actually practicing them?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, I can come across as, I want to try different things, but then I really don't. Like, sometimes I just want my chicken fried steak.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want, as my grandfather was like that. It didn't matter where we went. If they didn't have chicken fried steak, he wasn't going. You had to tell him before he got there.
Right.
And so sometimes we just get so dug into who we are. And then, and I think, I don't know if age plays a part of that or all these factors.
Yeah. We get to, I'm one of those guys who I find like a thing that I like. Let's say like this sweater or hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I like it. I saw one and I was like, oh, this is
colors.
nice. And
Yeah.
then I just got several colors. I've done that with some other shirts too. And I'm like, that's just kind of my deal because it works for me. I know all you creatives out there, y'all like, oh, I can't believe you do that. Sorry, but it works for me.
Mhm.
Okay. But in general, I think we find our rhythms and that makes us comfortable. What I think that we don't really understand and need to take to heart is that there are the people that I don't know, the things I've not tried actually have benefit for me.
Right.
I just don't know it.
Right.
And so if I start with all these people are created in the image of God, that means
Mhm.
there's an image of God in them that I can't know because I'm not them until I come in proximity, till I start asking questions, and we start our lives start bumping into each other. We start moving together, and then I begin to go, oh, I never thought of it that way,
Mhm.
or oh, really? That's how y'all do it? Why?
Mhm.
Right? And then those things start to bubble up as ideas and go, man, that's kind of cool. You know, how can I connect with that? Does that fit my circle? You know, all that stuff matters depending on what our initial foundational viewpoint of people are.
Right.
And a lot of times we view people as different, as scary, as those who are going to change my world. And
Or I might offend them, so
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
There you
there's
go.
just a lot of loss that we feel like if I break through that gap, then what do I lose?
It's like you gotta break down that barrier of me, us versus them.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like, is there really a them? I don't think so. You know what I mean?
It's the times that we're living in right now. And if we're being
Yeah.
honest about it,
Yeah.
there's so many polarizing things out there. There's so many, like, it's almost a this side or that side.
And if you don't pick one, then you
And,
Yeah.
and where we're failing, I think, is that it's okay to have different viewpoints on things.
right.
Does not mean that I can't love you.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that I love you. I'm just going to keep you way over there.
We won't talk
it's-
about this
so we
thing.
won't. And we
Mhm.
need to learn how to talk about things so that we build honest relationships. I have relationships with people that I totally disagree with.
Mhm.
But again, we agree on the fundamental things. We love Jesus.
Mhm.
We want well for everybody. We love our families. We want to do well in life. And those are the things that will sustain us and sustain us as like, we don't all have to like the same TV show,
Right.
but we can sit there and talk about it. Now,
Mhm.
people talk about The Office all day. Never seen one episode.
That's okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's greatest television event ever. But, you know, we just, I think, especially in church, because we already are skating on thin ice where we don't want to talk about certain things and we don't want to bring them up because now you're afraid that the church is now going to be aligned to one side or another.
Right.
But even with people, they're so afraid to just let each other in.
Mhm.
And it's okay. It's really okay. Like, we're going to make mistakes.
Mhm.
Yeah. You said, you know, with the churches and all the different views, I think that's it's kind of back to one of our previous questions of why do we stop?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because when our emotional or thought buttons get pushed, we're not really sure how to handle those feelings.
Mhm.
And then it kind of comes out. I react. And the next thing you know, there's offenses. And then when there's offenses, we don't know how to handle the offenses.
Mhm.
And so the natural thing to do is to withdraw. And so that's one of the reasons why we don't do it. I think it's one of the reasons why in leadership, you don't push forward because, man, you feel like we did this thing and now everybody's more separated than we were before,
Mhm.
right? Because it's a tricky thing to deal with people's hearts and feelings and emotions to get to the good. It's just really hard. And you might lose people, which means, what does that mean for our church then? What does that mean to our budget?
Mhm.
What does that mean to our leadership? It just starts to trickle down into all these things. And it gets back to, man, if we do that, what are we going to lose? As opposed to, if we do this, what are we going to gain?
Mm.
So like in an investment, I go, man, here's something that I want to invest in, and the hope is that what I pay, what costs me here is going to make dividends or benefits down the road. But we don't tend to look at our relationships with each other in that same kind of effect. We just go, man, this is costing me and I don't want it to cost me. And so, and don't really understand that an investment in this is better for us all. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And we're kind of already talking about our last segment. Honestly, we kind of hit some of these points anyway, but it's the cost and continuity of repair. So maybe here we can talk more about, I don't know, like what to do after this episode. Like, what do we do? How do we measure this? How do we know we're doing a good job? Because we've talked about the cost.
I guess it's twofold though on that one. Are we saying as a church leadership and then as a church body?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're talking about in the
That's
church,
true.
it's like, what are the things that churches from a leadership perspective can do? And I think some of them believe that, okay, if we have a diverse worship team, that makes us a multi-ethnic church.
Right.
And sometimes we do that not because that's who the Lord has brought to lead, but more of an aesthetic as to show this is what we see. If you see this on stage, then that's what must be represented.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a diverse worship team and all the worship songs that you lead
Are not
contemporary,
diverse.
yeah,
Right.
what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of the, you have to have some change in kind of input in that perspective. And I mean, it's all over, like even on your staff. What does your staff look like?
Mm-hmm.
If I walk into a church and I don't see anybody that looks like me, doesn't mean that church isn't filled with the Spirit or whatever, but me being comfortable and you're saying this is a multi-ethnic church, but everybody in leadership is of one race. And they could be all Hispanic, they could be all Black. It doesn't matter in this, but I'm kind of just throwing out ideas here.
Like on the church level.
Yeah, on the church level.
The leadership level.
Because what would you want from a church that you attend to if they say, hey, we're a multi-ethnic church? Like, what are some things that you would expect to see? And also we have to go after, most churches are volunteer based.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start tapping people from a different volunteer pool and encourage people to give and share their gifts. Because it's easy to have your congregation to be multi-ethnic, but if those people aren't serving and are bought into your church and into the community and sharing their gifts and their stories, like, are we? Or is it just somebody coming for a performance? We're welcoming, so to speak. But just on some practical things that I think that we can do or see. I mean, you can't expect you can't expect a church to just change overnight.
Right.
No.
You can't just.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be real change.
Yeah. I mean, from a church level, I mean, you talked about kind of the aesthetic, people on stage, and that's an important piece. I don't want people to hear us say that's not an important piece, having representation,
Right.
because it is.
Right.
But it can't just be that, which means valuing the other perspective and going out to get it, allowing for others to speak into how things function. We talked about relationally and structurally, so we're talking structurally now, right? Letting them have input. And when I say letting them, there are some people who are already in places of authority. And so that means opening up and going, man, I'm really asking for your input because I believe it is valuable to where we're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering on a personal level, because I think many of people who will be listening, there's only a few people in church leadership, but there are a lot of people who go to church. And so going, what are the practical things that, an individual or a family can do to help repair? to help really go, okay, how do I help bridge these gaps that we have that we shouldn't? I know I feel it, but what can I do as a family, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, go to things that you might not normally go to.
Right.
Like if there is a Hispanic heritage program at your church, make the time to go
Mm-hmm.
and do it. Like it's so easy for those things to happen, and then you to be like, well, it's an afternoon. We got something else to do. Like invest in that.
Mm-hmm.
Shameless plug. We have a Black History program coming up
Mm-hmm.
here on the 21st. But anyway, any opportunity that you have to
Yeah.
go learn about a different culture that's in your church.
Yeah.
Like if you sit with people that don't look like you, take an interest in what they would be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but how do they get past the fear? I know this is a little different for it, but how do they get past the fear of, like we've already said, don't be weird with it.
Mhm.
And they're going, okay, but every time I walk anywhere, I am weird. I'm like, I don't know how to let go of weird,
But I don't know. I think it's going to be awkward, but then just like if you have an awkward conversation with a new person, you're like, man, like I love meeting new people, but this is awkward. I'm sorry. But I like, how old's your kid?
Yeah.
Where do you guys go to school? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I appreciate you calling out. You basically naming the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I'm going,
Yeah.
we don't have much in common, however that comes out.
Yeah.
But man, who cares? Let's try this thing. I get it. We're different, and let's just acknowledge it and move on. That's a really good practical tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think consistency is key.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just shake a different person's hand on one Sunday or one time. Be intentional about meeting or seeing that person again. Like, man, glad to see you again. Or
Mm-hmm.
how was your week? Like, it doesn't have to be all of a sudden one conversation, like speed dating, and you got to get all these questions out in 3 minutes or whatever. But be consistent. Like, relationships take time. And this reconciliation, it takes time. And so we have to all be patient. We all have to be faithful, and just be in prayer, and always looking inside, getting that, just hearing that word from God that's telling us and that has already taught us to welcome our neighbor to.
Well, and our next episode is going to kind of go into more of that, I think, and especially, Twan, what you were saying about if there is offenses, like what to do with that. Our next episode is going to be on navigating difficult conversations on race. So again, a really light topic. So that's great.
It's always light with us.
So one question we want to leave you with. If repair requires surrender, what is the church still clinging to?
And on that note, we'll see you next time.
That's a bomb to drop.
Mic drop.
Man, we're so glad that you guys have stopped by to listen and engaged. We just want you to share it. If something hit you and you're like, man, that was really powerful. Or even you're like, I don't know, I got a question about it. Share it with somebody. Even the, what do you think about this? I'm not so sure conversation. We would still love for that to get out there. We know that things that are said here are provocative, and they're gonna bring different kinds of thoughts and feelings and so forth. But we're not scared of that. We just want you to go ahead and share it, talk about it, because that's how we get to a better place.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, and comment on Spotify and on our YouTube, and we would love to chat with you. So get engaged. So peace and blessings. Until next time.
Y'all take care.
That's what we're here for. Having a good time.